Good morning, guys. So today's video is going to be a bit of a story. It's going to be a little bit longer than my normal videos, and I hope to get everything across, but just to say I am pissed on multiple different levels. This story has to do with something around the mental health community, and I don't want to discredit anybody, but this is just my opinion and my story. And hopefully it can help change perspective, like all the rest of my videos, but also change the way that we handle the mental health community in Washington State. As you guys all know, just some precursor facts, I have been diagnosed with anxiety, sexual post-traumatic stress disorder, and minor bouts of depression. Also recently I moved back to Washington State to hopefully, just start a new life, new gig, new everything. When I was down in Los Angeles, there wasn't really, at first, there was an issue trying to get my medication just because of the way that it was handled, and it wasn't necessarily because of the insurance. It was because my primary care doctor was not comfortable enough with prescribing me medication that had to do with mental illness. They said they didn't deal with that and that I would have to go see a therapist. Through going through urgent care and various other locations and everything, I finally got care, and it was great. It was super easy. I love the doctors and the therapists that I had, but it was a little bit of struggle. But when I got to that point, there was no issues at all. According to LA, California state guidelines, no issues. Just getting to that step. When I moved back up to Washington, I talked to my therapist down in Los Angeles to say, hey, I'm moving, what can we do? And I got prescribed a 3-month supply of my medication, which is not something that, it depends on which doctor you go to. More doctors are more comfortable going in month to month. More doctors are comfortable, like mine, doing a 2 to 3 month, so I could help transition. And so I knew in the back of my mind that this was always going to be something that I had to go and get refilled, because my medication for my anxiety is something you don't stop, and you don't stop cold turkey at all. It's bad side effects. It's terrible. So I always knew in the back of my mind that that was something I was going to have to get going. I'm not gonna say any names of any people or any locations, mostly for my safety, but also the safety of the facility that I was going to. According to Washington State standards, which I did not know in the whole grand scheme of things, and when I got my mental health medication before I moved down to Los Angeles, that I've never had this problem. And I will link down below to the actual paperwork that I found that this doctor was going through. In order to get treatment in Washington State under state health insurance, you have to meet 4 criteria. So let's go through them. Number 1 is the inability to live an independent or family setting without support. So basically you can't, bathe yourself properly. You can't live alone. There's a lot of factors. You hoard, you don't bathe, a lot of factors. Number 2, a risk of serious harm to self or others, which is standard, very, very standard. Number 3 is dysfunction in role performance. So not being able to attend work or church, or even small tasks like loading the dishwasher. There's stuff that holds you back from that, or taking phone calls or anything like that. Number 4 is risk of deterioration. So there is a fine line of where you are, and you are just going to get worse without treatment. In my mind, these are on the very kind of severe spectrum to the end point of what they qualify to getting treatment. And not everyone is going to meet those needs. Let me go into my story. Now that you know the 4 base guidelines that they judge on Washington State mental health within state insurance. As you guys know, I am a nanny, so that's what I get. I don't get health insurance through living with my brother and sister-in-law, It's just the way it is. I go into this facility where I'm at because it is the local facility. They take the state insurance. I've heard really good things about it. I was excited because where in LA, another bit of side information first, is a lot of primary care doctors, dependent on what your condition or your mental illness is, can prescribe you medication. On some other instances, you do have to see a therapist or a psychotherapist or a psychologist, whatever. When I first started going to LA, I couldn't get it through my primary care, so I had to go see a therapist. And in those aspects, that round bubble, I also had to get therapy under the state guidelines, which I never had before, but I really enjoyed. I feel like it helped a lot in the process of getting a treatment plan with everything. And she thought so too, huh? In this facility that I was going to go to, they held the same standards. In order to get your medication, you have to go see a therapist, and whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, whatever. I feel like that's a really great plan because it gives everyone a full-on aspect of getting the help that they need. Before you go in to see an actual therapist, you usually do what is called an intake or an evaluation, and you basically sit and tell your entire mental health life story with one of the doctors, and they write it down, go through everything. You get really into details about what past traumas you have, what are you feeling now, what are you going through. So while I was sitting there and I was going through my 4th or 5th eval at this point in my life, it felt good. Like, it's something I had done before, but when I was going through this, the doctor, therapist, whatever you want to call them, stopped me and goes, "Just so you're aware, according to Washington state guidelines, you might not qualify for treatment here." Now, like I said before, I feel like those 4 guidelines are in the very severe end of the spectrum. And I didn't know at the point when he told me that what the guidelines were, so I asked him to read them to me. And I was like, okay, I mean, I get it, kind of. When he said that to me, I felt sort of attacked. I felt instantly that I was not mentally sick enough for Washington State. To be honest, I am in a really good spot. I feel like I'm doing well. The move back to Washington was great for me. But I'm also on medication that helps me feel this way. So when he said that to me, I felt personally kind of attacked. And it felt like the entire appointment took a 180. I felt like I was judged a little bit. I felt like I had to prove myself in order to feel worthy enough of treatment. So I go through the rest of the appointment. At the end, he goes, "Well, it doesn't really look good, but we still have a few more questions. I don't make the final say on whether you get treatment here or not, but I have to go through my supervisor. Can I call you in the next couple of days to kind of fill out some more questions, possibly? We just didn't have enough time." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I go home and I'm like upset. And I'm talking to my sister-in-law, who is very upset on my behalf because she's known people who have gone there and had no trouble getting treatment, who are just as same as I am. Fast forward a couple days, I get a call from this therapist with more questions. I answer them, again, still feeling like I have to prove myself in order to get treatment. And he again told me it did not look good, but we'll go through the supervisor and everything like that. And so in my mind, I thought I was not going to have treatment. And so Washington State healthcare is great on a certain aspect, but I do have to, at this point, I'm going to go through my primary care. That's all set up, and hopefully, because I have 3 weeks left, that I get them to prescribe me my medication, or I'm going to have to, which I have done in the past, taper myself off without losing my medication. So I would be cutting doses, which is not a good idea. It's never a good idea, because I'm not going to get my medication. Now, I was thinking about it and I talked to my mom, and it might be an insurance aspect. Because of Washington State Health, there is only so much money, and they have to really take the cases that are needed desperately, and I get that. And my mom was talking about how it could possibly, I could find one on a sliding scale or anything like that. I've taken a serious pay cut moving back to Washington, and hopefully I will find a job. And I can't really afford a sliding scale therapist or psychotherapist or whatever. And I know, especially where the areas that I come from, where I'm living kind of right now, a lot of people probably couldn't either. So what happens when those people who cannot afford a sliding scale or to pay out of pocket, but they don't meet those Washington State guidelines? What happens to them? Are they just going to have to wait to get sick enough or deteriorate enough in order to seem okay to Washington State guidelines in order to get treatment? No one should have to do that. No one. And that's what makes me so pissed about it, is that according to A, B, C, and D, there are a bunch of people who cannot get treatment because of the way that Washington State deems their mental health policy. It's really pissing me off, and I'm like trying to keep it tame because I've already cried about it. I've already screamed to my family about it, and and I have those people who are offering if this doesn't, and I have an appointment with my primary care, which is great for my medication, but therapy would have been amazing. It helped so much in LA that I might not get that aspect here, and that's what also pisses me off. But again, no one should have to wait to get sick enough to prove themselves enough to get mental health treatment in any part of Washington State. That's just not okay. So I guess I have a little bit of a journey when I move here. I'm gonna try and get this changed, and hopefully more people will be able to get what they need, or start a GoFundMe for people who need therapy. And I don't know, I had a lot of thoughts about how to raise money to help people get treatment that they need, and no one should ever have to go without mental health treatment. No one should ever feel pain or sadness or have to prove themselves in order to get treatment. That being said, I did get a phone call last night, and I got approved for treatment, for therapy. And I'm cutting a lot of this shorter because I don't want to make a massively long video. But if things work out with my primary care, I'm almost tempted not to go back to this facility because of the way I was treated. I mean, almost having an anxiety attack during an evaluation is never a good thing. And being treated and having to prove myself, I did not like my experience at all. And this was just one person, and someone else could be different. But my primary care physician appointment is before my mental health care appointment. So if that works out, I'm debating not going. Not because I don't think the treatment will be helpful, because I think it will. But it's almost like sticking a middle finger up to Washington State and their mental health care policies. That's my story. It's a long story, and I hope that something in the future changes. And if you live in Washington State and are having issues like this or similar stories, please let me know in the comments down below, because of the fact that I am so interested in this, and I delve into a deep damn rabbit hole in order to figure out everything within this realm and what they use and how current the policy is and everything. And this policy changed not too long ago. And it just makes me sad that, it was 2016. So for almost a year and a half, it was like October, a lot of people might have not gotten the treatment that they should have. I also want to say, don't let this discourage you. If you need treatment, or if you feel like you need treatment, please go seek it. There are options out there, and if you feel like nothing else matters in this world, you know, the suicide hotline is down below. There is always something or someone or a group willing to help to get you where you need to be. And always know I am sending you amazingly good vibes through this camera. I just want to share my story, as always. So, don't forget to like and subscribe, and share if you feel like this video will help someone you know, or help you. Do you know someone who's having issues with the Washington State Mental Health Program? What is it like in different states? Please let me know. I am very curious, because I had no issues in LA. So let me know. What's it like in Arkansas? What's it like in Maine? Florida? More populous cities like New York, you know? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching so much, and until next time, guys, sláinte.